Hi there, this is Trollsmith Yo. This is my third vlog, and I probably should not put a face on it today. I'm in my life's biggest crunch right now, so I thought it'd be way cooler to take a little glimpse at our 8DO Vineyard. A little north of San Francisco, you have something called the Napa wine region, which is where most of California's great cabs are grown, Cabernet that is. And that's exactly what you're looking at right now. This is the 8DO Vineyard growing cabs. And in a couple of years, hopefully you and I will get a chance to enjoy these beautiful grapes. But I've learned so much through the process of growing vines and understanding the whole agricultural aspect to winemaking, all the stuff that happens before it becomes wine. A little bit in the same sense that when you make samples, it's also a little bit before what could become music at some point. So I thought it would be interesting to draw the parallel between the process of making wine and making samples, which eventually becomes instruments, which eventually becomes music. There's so much to learn. Wine is about flavor, it's about color, texture, it's about personal preference. There's so much going into it. You know, when you start, it's just fermented grapes. You don't really care. Red wine is red wine. But as you get deeper into it, you learn to appreciate all the little nuances. In the same sense with music, right? We start with our 120, 4/4 CFG chord progressions, and then we learn. Our ears expand and all that. So with that said, let's talk about today's subject matter. I want to talk about pianos. We have a new piano coming out. It's on C5 Yamaha piano. But I thought it could be really interesting to try to take a bunch of different pianos and compare them. So let's go in the studio. Let me play a piece with a 1985 Passionate piano. We actually have over 12 different pianos in our catalog. So really just piano appreciation day, if you will. Oh, and regarding the Vineyard, we're going to come back to this one a lot of times this year and check on the grapes. All right, so let's get started. In front of us here, we have our new 1985 Passionate piano. That is a Yamaha C5 grand piano. And as you can see, I've loaded both the sustain and the short patch combined. I took the volume down in the short. The reason is that I'm going to be playing a fairly complicated piece by Ravel called Albarada del Gracioso, just the first segment of it, but it actually requires both short notes and sustain notes. So I like to combine them in a patch here. I think it gives a lot more realism, and you're going to see me do that on some of the other pianos as well. Try to combine some of the articulations because it really allows you to play both fast and slow and emotional at the same time. So check it out. Let's start here with the Yamaha C5. It just has a nice, rich character. One of the things I liked about pianos when they age a little bit is that the strings start resonating and they get more of a chorus type of effect. It's something I'm going to be covering in future videos as we talk about pianos more and more. Each piano has different personalities, and a part of that relates to the age of the strings, if you use original strings, that is. Speaking of that, let's try something completely different when it comes to strings. Let's try to mute the strings, playing here with our 1990 prepared piano. So this is a completely different comparison and maybe a little bit unfair because I'm playing a very different articulation, but it's just to show you the expansiveness of colors and characters in all the pianos. So in this example here, I'm going to be playing Ravel again using our muted longs. All right, next up is our 1928 Steinway grand piano. This is my personal piano, and it really has a more mature character, a little bit darker, not as bright, but great for emotional stuff. But let's see how it performs against Ravel. But let's push this a little bit further. Let's see how it matches against a Yamaha C7 from 1990. This is a really modern concert grand. Fat in the bass is really just a bright, beautiful concert grand piano. And scrolling back in time about 2 decades to our Estonia 1971 piano, this one is a little more muffled. It doesn't have the same brightness necessarily as the 1990, but it has a more wooden and dark quality. And the Estonia stood out for me a little bit in the sense that the short notes were a little too long actually for this particular playing style. And it's really, really good for emotional stuff, just like our 1928, but it lacks a little bit of that sort of more concerto definition on the short notes and clarity and brightness that you get in some of the younger pianos. But again, that's just my personal preference. Obviously, if we were to do this really, really deeply, we'd be testing all individual microphones against each other as well, because each mic brings forth something different in the pianos. But let's go further back in time. Let's go all the way back to 1901, which is our Broadwell upright piano. I thought it could be really cool to try to render the same piece. Actually, it sounds surprisingly good on it. Alright, now let me play all the demos side by side without any talk, so you can simply just hear the 6 different pianos in all their glory. And just to clarify, everything is rendered with the Valhalla room at these specific settings for all the pianos. I just use it in general to create a little more whiteness and air in the sound.
body wet. Work that, let me see your drip sweat. Don't play with me, don't play with me, don't play with me, don't play with me, don't play with me. Work them hips, run, girl. Touching your body like you want some, girl. Work it like your boy just bought you a pearl. I wanna see you run in the middle of the dance floor. Your man ain't broke, what you